How about a bit of history for you in this Centennial match? The first Canada against USA match. This is the program, the official match program. June the 25th, 1925. The game was played at Alexandra Park in Montreal in front of a crowd of 3,500. Final score, Canada 1, the USA 0. Canada wore blue shirts for that match. Blue, a prominent colour on their coat of arms at the time. It was displayed on the nation's ensign flag. The maple leaf flag didn't come into being until 1965. And there are the Canadians in their blue tracksuit tops. As we grow and draw closer to kick-off. The man of the hour, Clint Dempsey, Kyle Martino. This is a big rivalry match that both teams have been talking about over the last 24 or 48 hours.
Well, they're definitely up for it. Not only is this the last game before the points start adding up, but these teams, they have a rivalry. They share a border. They've played on, a lot of guys played on the same teams. Right before warm-up started, guys went over and shook each other's hands, talked a little bit, but right when that whistle goes, this is going to be anything but a friendly.
You saw a shot there of Stephen Hart, the Canada coach. He said to us yesterday, it's all about Cuba. A World Cup qualifier on Friday in Havana. But he'll be desperate to win today, as will that man, Dwayne De Rosario. One goal to become the outright leader in goals scored for the Canadian national team. It's a long history between these two sides. We told you about the 1925 first game. The US are unbeaten in 14 matches against their cross-border rivals. There's today's referee from Mexico, Mauricio Morales. He was in charge of Jamaica 0, Panama 1 in Kingston last Sunday. Jamaica are in the US group. He was also in charge of the first leg of Santos Laguna's Clausura final in Monterrey 2 weeks ago. Santos Laguna are the club in Mexico of the US striker Herculez Gomez. It's the Canadian Soccer Association's Centennial match. The World Cup qualifiers 5 days away for the USA. It's time now for Kyle's Corner, presented by Continental Tire. Kyle, what do you have for us today?
Well, Jurgen Klinsmann stressed the consistency mentality. You have to have sustained focus, and it's staying with your man in the box. It's not giving up silly mistakes. It's not giving up silly plays. And then for Canada, early intensity. You have to make sure that you match the U.S.'s intensity. If they're going to come out, try to impose themselves, you have to match them.
Early possession for the United States. Here's Michael Bradley. First touch of this series for Clarence Goodson. Plays for Brøndby in Denmark. Despite Fabian Johnson's injury, there are still 3 club captains in that back 4 for the United States this evening. Carlos Bocanegra, captain of Rangers in Scotland. Goodson in charge of Brøndby in Denmark. Cherundolo, Hanover in Germany. And Kyle, do you have an update on Fabian Johnson, who appeared to be injured before the game started?
Well, a U.S. soccer representative came over and confirmed that he did indeed strain his calf, his right calf.
Here's an opportunity for Herculez Gomez. He's won the first corner of the match. Kevin McKenna, the Canada captain, was the defender. And there was Castillo, and there's Herculez Gomez, who scored his 3rd international goal against Brazil on Wednesday night. He brought the USA back into the game. Eventually, they lost by 4 goals to 1. Jose Torres will take it left-footed. Lars Hirschfeld is the goalkeeper for Canada. Here it comes. Flicked header, only as far as Bradley. Landon Donovan on the right-hand side, being pressured by Will Johnson. It's in the penalty area. Promise here for the United States, and it's ricocheted off a Canada defender and gone out for the 2nd corner of the match. David Edgar with the defending. It was Jermaine Jones making a nuisance of himself. And the early pressure has been exerted by the road team in their red and white hoop jerseys, the United States. Landon Donovan. Near post this time, and it's flicked and just over the bar by Goodson. In fact, in the end, it dropped beside the post of Lars Hirschfeld.
Well, Clarence Goodson is so good on set pieces, but more with his head. And you can see why. That ball comes back, and he's a little bit ahead of it. He's trying to reach back and get it on frame. Just can't get over the ball. Send that down towards goal.
He's scored 3 goals at international level. This is his 29th cap. The season in Denmark ended on May the 23rd. He was in camp by the 24th. He was on the bench against Brazil. First touch for Tim Howard. It's a little flicked header at the near post by this man, Carlos Bocanegra, that caused the havoc in that Canada penalty area. Flick on by Dempsey. Gomez, Dempsey. It's behind Donovan. He scampers away and keeps it in play. Cherundolo. Landon Donovan, the 4th club captain in this starting 11. Of course, in charge of the LA Galaxy. Jones. He got there ahead of Toussaint Ricketts. Left-hand side is Castillo. Torres behind him, all the way back to Jones. Kyle Jürgen Klinsmann was telling us yesterday he wanted a faster, more aggressive start from his side. And then after almost 4 minutes, that's kind of what he's got here, isn't it?
Well, against Brazil, yes, Brazil, the best team in the world, 5-time world champions, had a ton of talented players out there. The beginning of the game was not good enough from the United States. It was a little bit static off the ball. They weren't moving well. They weren't crisply moving the ball around. They were making their decisions late, and they got punished for it. He wants to make sure that doesn't happen against Canada.
Dempsey, Castillo. Gomez climbs off the ground. Torres again. Now Jermaine Jones. Space on the right-hand side for Steve Cherundolo. The shadows drawing long over BMO Field in the late afternoon here.
Well, and what you're seeing from Jermaine Jones and Michael Bradley is it's more left side of the field, right side of the field, instead of one in front of the other. They're sharing that responsibility to build out of the back on each side of the field.
Jones was caught in possession by Nick Ledgerwood, but the US maintained possession. Bocanegra, Castillo. Torres bundled off the ball unfairly by Olivier Ossian. Well, they played against the Hulk on Wednesday night, didn't they? Ossian's a big unit, Kyle, as well.
He's got a lot of pace. That's the one thing they're going to have to be careful about, is that pace in behind. There's plenty of players for Canada that can find that long pass. Now, they have the wind at their back, so it's going to be difficult to play those balls over the top and have them sit up and not make it all the way to Tim Howard.
Bill Johnson with the challenge there on Landon Donovan. Throw into the United States. He's had a good season, Ossian. Plays for Greuther Fürth in the Bundesliga 2nd division in Germany. They won the championship. They were promoted. He scored 17 goals in 30 games. Cross from Torres is a good one. Excellent defensive header ahead of Clint Dempsey. Not cleared yet by Canada. McKenna eventually puts his foot through the ball.
Well, as I predicted it early on when we were talking about their formation, defending more out of a 4-4-2 and playing offensively more out of a 4-3-3, you see when Landon Donovan gets the ball, Torres tucks in way far, way high on the other side of the field, and Landon Donovan does the same on the opposite side of the field, getting on the end of Torres's cross right there. Those two players are joining Herculez Gomez, with Clint Dempsey dropping this far deep.
And on the Canadian side of the ball, Kyle, it looks like a 4-3-3 in possession, and most definitely a 4-5-1 when they don't have the ball.
Well, that's the danger. If you can't keep hold of the ball, you get stuck in that 4-5-1, and you have a player up top who's on an island by himself.
There's Michael Bradley. Jermaine Jones, 6 yellow cards in his 17 international caps so far. A lot of talk about that challenge on Neymar in DC on Wednesday night, whether that was something to do with Jürgen Klinsmann's post-match press conference when he talked about US players becoming more nasty. Jones has had his run-ins with disciplinary committees during the season. He was banned for 8 matches in Germany in December, a stamp on Marco Reus in a Schalke against Borussia Mönchengladbach game. Dempsey just trying to tempt Torres forward here. 3 US players in the box. Torres goes for the back post. That's floated out for a goal kick to Canada. Jose Torres plays for Pachuca in Mexico. We're back to Jermaine Jones. One commentator in Germany said that Jones was the nastiest player in German soccer.
Well, and that's not the nasty that Jurgen Klinsmann's asking for. It's not tackles, it's not yellow cards, because if this was a tournament right now, he'd be sitting this game out with the cumulative yellow cards. He has to be smart at that level. When you're playing in a tournament, they add up fast. The nasty he's talking about, Jermaine Jones has, which is getting in players' faces, being hard to play against, closing down space.
To clarify to us yesterday, Jurgen Klinsmann, I didn't mean to go and hurt people. I meant to close people down, as Kyle has mentioned, and to be more aggressive from the start of games. He talked about building a consistent focus. Here's an opportunity for Canada. Rosario, it's a long drive, and it's just beyond the far post of Tim Howard's goal. Tosaint Ricketts was closing in on that, couldn't quite get there. It's taken a deflection along the way. That's got the crowd excited. First corner of the match for the home team, Canada.
Well, Dwayne De Rosario does that so well. When you lean one way, his first touch takes you against the way you want to go. Gets that little freedom, curls it in far post, and that could easily deflect towards Tim Howard's goal or find that far post.
Will Johnson, an MLS Cup winner in 2009 with Real Salt Lake, takes it. Bocanegra with the header into the air, and it's a flick clear by Dempsey. Well held up by Gomez. Here's Jones inside, but McKenna will tidy that up ahead of Clint Dempsey. Ante Jazic all the way back to his goalkeeper Lars Hirschfeld. 39th cap for Hirschfeld today. His first call up the national team came in the year 2000. He spent a long time as Pat Onstad's understudy. Plays his club football in Vålerenga in Norway. They're mid-season there.
The U.S. needs to figure out this midfield mismatch. 3 center midfielders against Jermaine Jones and Michael Bradley, and de Guzman's finding this little pocket right here. That has to be one of the forwards for the U.S. that comes back in that space to make it difficult for him to pick up the ball.
Would that be Clint Dempsey, Kyle?
It'll be Clint Dempsey. You'll see him come in, but Herculez Gomez, who worked so hard in the Brazil game, that's one of the reasons he's been rewarded with another start. He'll be the one that'll come back and help out defensively too.
First period of sustained possession here for the Canadians in their blue shirts that they wore in the first ever meeting between these two sides in Montreal in 1925. Torres in. Edgar with the throw. Ledgerwood. Edgar, who plays for Burnley in the English second division, called the Championship. De Guzman. Space on the left-hand side for Dwayne De Rosario. Can't keep the ball in play. Ante Jazic was sprinting up in support there. 36 years old, Jazic. Plays for Chivas USA. He's one of the few players on this field old enough to remember the last time Canada qualified for the World Cup finals in 1986.
I played with Ante in LA. He's a great player, a wonderful teammate. We joked with him yesterday. We said, well, if you qualify for the World Cup, you're going to be 38. He goes, I'm just taking this a day at a time.
Got a glint in his eye. He fancies it, doesn't he? As does Dwayne De Rosario, who we spoke to about this yesterday. D-Ro, as he's known, 34 years old now. He said, it could be my last go at a World Cup. We have the talent and ability to make it, he told us yesterday in downtown Toronto. He's never scored against the United States. His last 4 goals for Canada have come from the penalty spot. And he'll be the record Canada's goal scorer with 1 today. Good call by Hirschfeld. De Rosario dropping deep, drops it into the midfield to Julien de Guzman, playing on home territory, a Toronto FC man. De Rosario, a former Toronto FC player. Here's Haino of the Houston Dynamo. McKenna is relegated with Cologne from the Bundesliga this season. Look at the pace being offered there by number 9, Tosaint Ricketts. He was smartly off his line, Tim Howard. He had to be.
Well, you got to look, too, at that wind at your back. It's so difficult to get that ball to check up and not have that wind carry it to Tim Howard. You need to get a little more loft on that pass to give your offensive player time to get underneath it.
Jones nicely waited for Castillo. Nice run inside by Torres. Deep is Dempsey. Jones. Dempsey again. Chirundalo offering support on the right-hand side. Inside of him is Landon Donovan. Goodson. Jones. Donovan. Heavy ball by Jones. Donovan unable to bring it under control. And there's another test for Goodson with Ricketts behind him. The ball over the top a little bit too strong this time. And the referee's seen something in the centre of the field here. Senor Morales. Now then, there might be a problem here with the bicycle shorts, I think, of Andre Hainaut. Now, the rules are that you have to have your bicycle shorts the same colour as your playing shorts. And as we clearly saw there, Hainaut's were a darker colour, maybe even black, under white shorts. Maybe he's going to let it go because the shorts are long enough to cover them.
I mean, referees giving fashion tips. What is this game coming to?
That would be pedantry of the highest order, wouldn't it? But only sticking to the rules, I suppose. Maybe in a World Cup qualifier, he would have a case to make Hainaut go off and get changed. Yeah. Torres. Free kick, foul by McKenna on Hercules Gomez. Started as a striker, Kevin McKenna, back in the day. Used to play for Heart of Midlothian in Edinburgh, Scotland. De Guzman. Ricketts dispossessed. Castillo forward on the left-hand side. In for Fabian Johnson, who was injured, suffered a calf strain as the first yellow card of the match. It will go to Julian de Guzman. A calf strain in the warm-up. Castillo wasn't even dressed to play, and here he is starting. Julian de Guzman with the yellow.
Well, that's so tough for Castillo. I saw him on the bench sitting with the players in his warm-ups and his running shoes on, and at that point you've kind of checked out mentally, and you're not really preparing yourself for what's getting ready to come. And to get the nod, and he came out and he didn't even have time to warm up with the team. It was so late in warm-ups that he warmed up alone.
He's had a very settled start to the game as well, hasn't he? Jose Torres. Donovan makes a run to the back post, having left the free kick to Torres. Here it comes. Doesn't beat the first man, but it's a poor header. Then Dempsey was there with the attempted left foot volley. The clearance by Andre Hainaut. Oh, that's a terrific effort from all of 40 yards. Tipped over the bar by Hirschfeld. Castillo. Tremendous. That was going in.
Watch how much dip he's able to get on this. That ball comes from a tremendous height, gets dipped, swerve, and Hirschfeld not even knowing if that's going to come down, and the wind catches it a little bit, brings it down even more. Great save. What
an effort by Castillo. Third corner of the match for the USA. Here he comes. Ricketts with the header clear. Bradley scored from distance against Scotland a couple of weeks ago. Flick into the area by Goodson. Wide it goes. Oof. Well, Bradley's goal has been viewed by almost 400,000 people on the US Soccer's YouTube site. I think that one may have got a few more, Kyle. That would have been a tremendous goal by Castillo. And the technique, he knew what he was doing. He was going for the dip there, wasn't he?
Well, when the ball comes from that height, you get so much more dip on it if you can catch it the right way. And you just saw him catch it perfectly.
Flick on by Ocean. Tied it up by Chirundalo. Awkward for Howard. Landon Donovan. Michael Bradley. Rondo was looking for Dempsey. It's a good physical battle between Dempsey and Andre Hainaut.
Well, Dempsey's going to get this treatment worldwide nowadays. He's a name known around the world with his performance in the Barclays Premier League this past season.
17 goals in the EPL with Fulham, the most by a player not from Europe, Africa or South America since Mark Viduka, the Australian for Leeds United in 2002, 2003. Here come Canada. Edgar into the area. Run being made, and it's a very good one. The cross a little bit too strong in the end, but Olivier Ocean was all alone about 7 yards out there.
Well, this is a terrific ball in here, curled behind. The run's perfect, the timing's perfect, the ball just a little too far ahead of him. And you got a sense right there at Clarence Goodson, tremendous height. He's good positionally, he's great in the air, but he's not the fastest with getting spun and sprinting back and recovering towards his own goal.
Bit of space for Bradley here. And he goes long towards Dempsey. Dempsey and McKenna. De Guzman. for Hirschfeld to boot clear. Siam wins the header. Here's Dwayne De Rosario of DC United. Will Johnson of Real Salt Lake. Good battling in the centre of the park, though. Torres was in the middle there, helping out. USA's third game in 8 days. In this total of 5 in 18. For Canada, a first match for 95 days. Castillo sees the throw in. They lost 3-1 to Armenia in February. Nothing since then. This is their only warm-up game as their World Cup qualifying campaign resumes. They've already played 6 games in a previous round to the US. Guzman tried to slide it inside Torres towards the advancing Edgar down the right. And here's Haino. Were Canada to get to the final round of 6 teams and then make it to the World Cup finals, they would have played 22 matches to qualify. The US have a maximum of 16. Starts on Friday in Tampa. First World Cup qualification campaign for Jürgen Klinsmann against Antigua and Barbuda. Bocanegra. Sold Tim Dempsey slightly short. It was Ledgerwood that got in. Jermaine Jones retrieves. Possibilities here. Torres running at the back 4 for Canada. Right on the right-hand side is Landon Donovan. Donovan with the attempted cross. It's blocked by Jazic. Back he goes to Cherundolo. Plenty of men forward in this attack. Pocket of space here for Torres. He finds Bradley. Cherundolo again. Patience from the United States. Donovan cuts inside. Goes outside of Johnson. Late challenge by Ledgerwood. And he's slightly fortunate based on the previous yellow card handed to Julian de Guzman to get away with that one, Ledgerwood, but he has done. Free kick to the United States. Ledgerwood, who plays Division 3 soccer in Germany. Started 3 of the 6 World Cup qualifiers so far for Canada. Free kick to the visiting United States here in Toronto, Canada.
You see Clarence Goodson and Clint Dempsey on that far post. That would definitely be a target.
Filled in. It's Ricketts who's able to head it clear, and another effort this time by Castillo from almost the same place, if not further out. Not quite the same result this time.
Yeah, I don't know if you get 2 of those in one game.
US Soccer on the NBC Sports Network is presented by the amazing picture quality of Panasonic Viera HD TVs. And by Century 21. Century 21 agents, smarter, bolder, faster. Jazic towards Oceanus. Ricketts with the header, but he's been adjudged to have fouled. Edgar Castillo gets a pat from Bocanegra.
Well, when you give up so much height, when you're Castillo, you have to make sure positionally you're always in the right spot so that someone has to climb over you to get to that ball. Does a good job of staying goal side there.
Interesting that Tim Howard has approached the referee there, Carl. That's something, again, that Jürgen Klinsmann talked about yesterday when he was explaining his comments that the US were a little naive, and he doesn't want his players to surround the referee, snarling in the ref's face to try and get decisions. He wants his players to lobby them.
Well, there's a gamesmanship aspect to it. There's a part of the game that he won trophies with, and you have to have a good team. You have to be a team full of great soccer players, but you have to find that edge. And too often, teams that are trying to be too honest and not finding that edge find themselves on the wrong side of the result.
Said he wants his players to build a case with the referee, maybe exert some influence.
Stay there, right
Further
there.
to your point,
Good,
Kyle,
good,
Michael
Jose,
Bradley.
good.
Really interesting sit down with him yesterday. He said in order to win in the higher echelon of world soccer, you need to know how to win games in different ways. You need to know how to push the right buttons. Edgar with the throw in here for Canada. He made 8 appearances for Newcastle United in the EPL a few years ago, scoring a goal against Manchester United and a 2-2 draw. Dwayne De Rosario concedes the throw in. There's Edgar. 49 appearances in all competitions for Burnley in the English second level. That man hitting his stride in Major League Soccer. Off the chest of Jones. Edgar with the throw. How far can he launch this into the USA penalty area? Only 4 blue shirts to aim for. And he's reached just about the 6-yard box. Bocanegra with the header. De Guzman with a drive. Came off Jones, still there. Ricketts, low save by Tim Howard. It was on target from Tossam Ricketts.
Well, it drops down so quickly for him. This ball comes in. Great challenge here from 2 U.S. players. Drops down right in front of him. Catches it off the half volley. Sure hands from Tim Howard.
Scored his first international goal, Tossam Ricketts, here at this stadium a year ago against Ecuador. 2 of his 3 international goals have come at this stadium. He was very close to opening the scoring on this sunlit Sunday evening in Toronto. In the 24th minute, no score. Not afraid of the odd long ball this afternoon in the United States, that time from Bocanegra, and he's gained some ground for the USA. Castillo. And Torres.
One of the positives in the Brazil game was Herculez Gomez tirelessly trying to get in behind the back 4 for Brazil, and it created so much space in front of them.
They're defending well here, Canada. De Rosario. Now to Edgar. Jazic back to Haino. Just dwelt on the ball a little bit too long there. Almost got his pocket pinched by Landon Donovan. Jazic again. Goodson tidies things up. The 3rd different central defensive partnership today for the USA in these 3 games. Jeff Cameron started against Scotland. Oguchi Onyewu gave away a penalty, of course, against Brazil. His performance was criticised. He's on the bench today. Torres with some smart control on the edge of his area. He just invites Jones forward. A marauding run here from Jermaine Jones. Landon Donovan. Possibilities here for the United States. Dempsey makes a run into the penalty area. Here comes the cross. Gomez down to Dempsey, immediately surrounded by blue shirts. He goes back to Castillo, a lovely flick. Herculez Gomez is onside, dinks it into the area. Ricketts is back though. Not an effective cross that time by Herculez Gomez, but he has won a 4th corner for the United States. Torres to take it. Not a lot of wrestling going on at the moment, as you usually see in a penalty area in this situation. Most of the American attackers have hung back on the edge of the area. Here they come. Cross comes in. Will Johnson with the header clear. Michael Bradley. Landon Donovan. Still 5 US shirts to aim for. Headed clear by Edgar this time. Ocean just wins the header ahead of Bradley. And now here comes Castillo again. He's been a real live wire in the early stages of the match. He hasn't had enough time to think about it and get nervous looking at him out there, Kyle.
I just jumped right into it.
Gomez. Can't keep it in. Santos Laguna, his club, recently crowned champions of Mexico. They reached the Concacaf Champions League final as well. Concacaf, the organization that administer the game in North America, the Caribbean, and Central America. That's where both of these sides will try and qualify from for the 2014 World Cup finals in Brazil.
One of the important parts of Herculez Gomez's game is getting near that 18. He makes these long runs. He tries to get in behind the back 4, but he tends to favor the left side of the field, making runs down that side so he can cut it on that right foot. He has to stay disciplined and be a presence high centrally.
Gomez was called a warrior yesterday by Jurgen Klinsmann in our meeting. taken a real blow there, Carlos Bocanegra, into the commercial hoardings just behind the byline. He was battling there with Olivier Ocean. Let's have a listen to this in real time. That hurts.
Well, that happened right down the sideline from me, and I could feel the boards shake all the way around. That's a big man hitting the boards, and it looked like he caught his toe a little bit on that plastic mat right before you get to the boards.
Tough man, Carlos Bocanegra. This is his 104th cap for the United States. 12th man to reach 100 caps for his country. Is Michael Bradley, playing the deeper of the two central midfielders at the moment, as he did against Brazil. Maurice Edu is the man that's given way to Clint Dempsey. Andre Hainaut ushers that ball out of play. What do you make of Dempsey and Donovan in their first start together in US colours since June the 25th of last year, Kyle?
Well, we haven't seen the fireworks yet, but, you know, actually a perfect analogy right now is you have the NBA playoffs going on, and this is the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade of American soccer. Both of these guys can run point, they can play make, they can set the play up, but both of them are more than capable of finishing the play as well. And once they get that understanding, and you saw it a little bit in that Gold Cup last time we saw them out there. They had a wonderful combination that led to a goal for Landon Donovan. Once they start to feel that rhythm again, these guys are dangerous.
US led 2-0 at the Rose Bowl on that occasion against Mexico, eventually losing by 4-2. Donovan. Oh, that's a good turn by Gomez, and he was clipped by Andre Hainaut. Free kick to the United States. There's Hainaut telling us yesterday, and we've been down to the BBVA Compass Stadium with the NBC Sports Network, that he, after the LA game on our air, a 2-1 victory, he scored the winning goal, that he had to go to hospital later on in the evening to get on an intravenous drip, suffering from dehydration. It's so hot in that stadium. It's going to be a real home advantage for the team that got to the MLS Cup, losing to the LA Galaxy last year. Jones sends it long. Bradley. Castillo. Good skill, but one too many blue shirts ahead of him, and David Edgar can bring the ball clear. Pocket of space here inside for De Rosario, who slides it through towards Ricketts. And he's won a free kick. A late challenge by Carlos Bocanegra. D-Row is still down on his haunches.
Well, De Rosario has been disciplined through most of this first half. For the first 30 minutes, he's stayed out on that left side of the field. He's done what his coach has asked of him, but now he's starting to float a bit. He's starting to come into that middle and try to find the game. And we asked him, do you have to stay out wide in this formation in the 4-3-3 to be that high winger? He said, that's what they want me to do, but they know that I'm going to go try to find the game at some point.
He said he plays to my strengths if I get the ball. And you just know, if he didn't get the ball, he's going to go hunting for it. That's too deep. Such a stalwart for the Canadian national team. 66 caps, 19 goals. Level with Dale Mitchell, all-time leading scorers. Will he create history today? Cherundolo. Offside against the United States. Edgar looking for Ocean. More nifty footwork by Edgar Castillo. Space for Dempsey. Hercules Gomez. Dempsey continuing his run, gliding down the center of the field into the penalty area. Torres. Castillo ever willing in support. One trick too many that time. Ricketts all the way back to his goalkeeper Hirschfeld. Little push in the back by Ocean on Bocanegra, not spotted by the referee. Goodson. Cherundolo. Donovan with space. You have a go at Jazic here. Ball with the outside of the boot, though, towards Gomez, goes out of play. First time we've seen him seated, isn't it, Jurgen Klinsmann, in this series of games, Kyle?
Yeah, not a lot of animation from him early on here, and they've brought those chairs out of the dugout so they can get a better view of things, but not a lot in the final third from the United States so far.
Ricketts almost got on the end of that. Oh, that's a rash challenge by Egger. Play on. It's an advantage called by the referee, I believe. In fact, he has actually just told Castillo to get up. He's imploring him to get up off the ground. So the referee suggesting there was no contact. That wasn't an advantage.
Well, that happened 10 feet in front of me, and right away the referee was sprinting by Castillo, yelling for him to get up off the ground.
Johnson. Ricketts with space. Castillo's got to close him down here. Into the area. The dangerous De Rosario towards the byline. Bocanegra's with him. Success for Carlos Bocanegra. Here's Castillo again. He's involved in almost everything at the moment. That is a dangerous place to attempt that. The Ledgerwood has gone through. The crowd think it's a goal to Canada, but the flag is up on the near side of the ground. He's blown for a free kick. Let's take a look. It's just in front of you down there, Kyle.
Well, and it's the referee's assistant right here. He's going to call a foul on De Rosario as he comes in, or maybe Ledgerwood. There's follow through here. I don't know what he's calling there. It's really hard to see.
What was wrong with that? Now, De Rosario is having a word here with the assistant referee.
I don't see a foul there at all.
Could it be offside? De Rosario's not happy. It was a tidy finish by Ledgerwood.
It wouldn't be an offside call because a referee, when he waves his flag like this, it's not for offside. Normally he puts his flag straight up when it's offside, and he waves it. And when he waves it like this, watch him wave the flag right here. He's waving that flag like there was a foul. I don't know what he was seeing there.
There was barely any contact. Ledgerwood has been denied a first international goal. Controversy in Toronto.
That's a mystery, and hopefully the Canada team doesn't think back to 2007 when another mysterious call was made, because that's going to make them angry.
It's bringing back a lot of memories for the Canadian soccer fans. That was the Gold Cup semi-final at Soldier Field. USA led that one 2-1 into the 4th minute of stoppage time. Atiba Hutchinson, who's on the bench today for Canada, scored what he thought was a tying goal. That man was in charge, temporarily Stephen Hart. It was flagged for offside when the ball clearly came off a Gucci Onyewu. It was Casey Keller's 100th cap that day. Michael Bradley was sent off for a reckless challenge on Julian de Guzman. And the Canadians haven't forgotten it. They've got something else to be a little bit annoyed about in this rivalry now. Jones. Landon Donovan. Into the area it goes. Torres climbed. It was McKenna who flicked the header clear. Ricketts. Back to Edgar. Ocean with some nice control. Good physical battle there, which Clarence Goodson wins. Here's Torres. Castillo pushing forward again, teasing ball towards the back post. Jazic is there defending. And the USA looking to take advantage of their apparent reprieve here in Toronto inside the final 10 minutes of the first half of this international friendly. USA in a 14-match unbeaten run against Canada. Jazic clear. Jones flicks it back to Goodson. There's Tim Howard. USA have dominated this rivalry in recent years. Since 1991, they've scored 22 goals against Canada. They've only conceded 3 in the 12 games played. Happy memories of trips north of the border. The last game in Canada 15 years ago. USA won that one to qualify for the 1998 World Cup finals. De Guzman. this control by Edgar. Torres. Castillo. Torres again. Bocanegra. Dempsey comes very deep, shows a bit of the ball to de Guzman, and then scampers away. Dempsey again, just a little bit behind in that flick from Torres. And able to take the ball with him there, Clint Dempsey. Ocean. Edgar. They've come from the four corners of the globe, the Canada team, for this international friendly. Team players, 22 of them that play in 12 different countries. Ricketts. Will Johnson might have a go here. Well read by Castillo in the end, but he's given the ball away to de Guzman. Edgar still available on the right-hand side, the fullback. Inside goes Johnson to Ledgerwood. Ledgerwood's into the penalty area. We'll have the goal ruled off. Good challenge, and it's a goal kick to the United States. Carl, let's take another look at the apparent goal. The goal ruled off.
Well, and you wonder if he's calling a little bit of a shove right here, but you know, it's a little tiny shove on the top of Castillo's shoulder, and at this level, you're not seeing that called. There's a tiny little shove right there, but he lifts the flag at this point. So I'm clueless. I have no idea what he's calling there, and it didn't look like he was calling offside. There was no one offside, but normally you see a referee's assistant just put the flag straight up in the air. He doesn't wave it. He normally waves it like that for a foul, and I didn't see a foul there.
Here come the United States down the right-hand side. Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, into Clint Dempsey. Dempsey's through. Hirschfeld with the save. The first real combination between Donovan and Dempsey this afternoon, and it almost brought an opening goal for the United States.
Great combination, running off the ball. That's a fantastic 1-2 right there. Good read from Hirschfeld to get out and close it down from Clint Dempsey. This is what I'm talking about with that 1-2 punch, Dempsey and Donovan.
Corner number 5 for the United States. Donovan curls it over. McKenna heads it clear. Torres shot charged down painfully by Will Johnson, who stayed on the ground. Wayne De Rosario, a nutmeg to get past Michael Bradley. Tries to curl the ball around to the advancing Ocean. It was too straight and easy for Tim Howard in the end. Will Johnson is back on his feet, by the way. The game's coming to life a little bit in the closing stages of the first half. Bradley with the ball. Hercules Gomez. Jazic challenging him. No foul there. Gomez back inside as a shot by Clint Dempsey straight at Hirschfeld this time. Good breakaway by the United States. Clint Dempsey with 2 good opportunities inside a minute and a half or so. 25 goals at international level for Clint Dempsey. Goodson with the header. Bradley finds Donovan. Immediately put under pressure by Will Johnson. Throwing to the United States. We mentioned Dwayne De Rosario, Carl, trying to find the game. You get the sense that that's what Clint Dempsey's doing here as well, dropping ever deeper into the midfield to collect the ball as he did then. Castillo can't get in the end of that one. Now Bocanegra.
Well, yeah, he's definitely trying to drop deep and find the game, and he did that a lot in the Italy game. It's just, if he's going to drop like that, someone has to get up and partner up top with Hercules Gomez. And on that last play, you saw Landon Donovan advance and get up the field. And when Clint Dempsey drops and they move into a 4-3-3 formation, they're very, very dangerous. But the movement off the ball is key when Clint's dropped deep in the midfield looking for options forward.
He collected the ball then a yard inside the Canada half of the field, trying to make something happen here for the United States. The 2 highest players at the moment are Landon Donovan and Hercules Gomez. I'm just wondering if there has been a tactical switch here, Kyle, because Dempsey looks like he's playing an out-and-out central midfield role at the moment with Donovan ahead of him. Maybe it's just this period of play.
Well, I haven't seen anything communicated from the bench. I think that's Clint Dempsey just trying to grab the game and take over a little bit.
Here's Torres. Ledgerwood brings the ball clear. Ocean's come to the right-hand side. Ricketts has switched to the left-hand side for Canada. De Guzman. Foul by Jones. Free kick to Canada. As we approach the final couple of minutes of the first 45. Julian de Guzman in the final year of not entirely happy spell in Toronto. Designated player for the MLS club, who started the season 0-9. The worst ever start to a Major League Soccer by any team in the league's history. Finally got on the board last week with a victory over Philadelphia. Edgar. Ledgerwood inside, leaves it behind Ocean. Michael Bradley with the challenge. Now here's Dempsey once again, pulling the strings for the United States. Advancing is Donovan. Gomez on the right-hand side. Dempsey's now in the penalty area with Jones. Haino can't get it fully clear, but it's calmly done by Canada. Here's de Guzman.
You know, and one of the problems is Clint Dempsey is finding that little pocket and getting the ball and get turned. That pocket was the same pocket Michael Bradley was finding in the Scotland game with 2 or 3 options ahead of him. When Clint Dempsey gets turned in that pocket, he really only has Herculez Gomez in advance. U.S. players have to be able to get in advance, catch up to the play.
Apologies, of course, for a little bit of fruity language that you may have heard there. Picked up by our field mics. We're trying to bring you as close to the action as we possibly can here on the NBC Sports Network. That's off Torres last. Do you have an issue with how deep Michael Bradley is playing? I felt on Wednesday night, Kyle, that playing him as a defensive midfielder, picking up the ball off the back four with Jones and Edu ahead of him, was almost wasting his talents. And we saw him go up for the first time, and he set up the lone US goal on the night with a lovely pass through to Fabian Johnson.
Well, the strategy from Jurgen Klinsmann is understandable. Against Brazil, they're going to high pressure you. You want one of your better players on the ball, that first guy to link with off that back four. What ended up happening is he never got on the ball in that position. So not only did they not build out of the back, but they suffered not having his ability going forward. For me, I think he's best in front of that defensive midfielder. He's got great vision, great passing ability. He's a scoring threat. But one thing I think Jurgen Klinsmann's working through is Torres has been such a great player that to get Dempsey on the field at the same time, you'd think in a 4-3-3, Dempsey would fit in where Torres is, but you can't really sit Torres at this moment, so who goes out to make sure Clint Dempsey comes in?
It's an interesting debate. Now Jermaine Jones is picking the ball up off the back four here. There's no added time at the end of the first half, and referee Mauricio Morales blows for half-time. Clint Dempsey back in the side, the best chance of the first half for the United States after a lovely give and go with Landon Donovan. Work to do for Jurgen Klinsmann at the half-time break. Join us for the half-time report in a few moments' time from Toronto. Canada 0, USA 0 at half-time.